Welcome back, everyone. Today, we're going deep into a story that I think you'll find really fascinating. It's about the Traitorous 8.
Ah, yes. Quite a pivotal moment in the history of, well, Silicon Valley as we know it, really.
Right. I mean, this group of engineers, they basically walked out of Shockley Semiconductor laboratory, and well, they ended up forming Fairchild Semiconductor.
Which, had huge GE ripple effects for the whole industry, really.
Exactly. And we actually have a great source for this deep dive. We're going to be looking closely at the Wikipedia excerpt on the Traitorous 8. Should be a fun ride.
Definitely. Lots to unpack there. The personalities, the technology, the whole, I guess you could say the birth of Silicon Valley in a way.
It all starts with William Shockley, right? Nobel Prize winner, co-invents the transistor, super brilliant guy.
Oh, absolutely, a visionary. But also a bit of a, well, shall we say, a challenging personality to work with.
Yeah, that seemed to be a recurring theme. So, Shockley, he wants to mass-produce transistors, advanced ones, and diodes, too. And he starts Shockley Semiconductor Laboratory in 1955, gets funding from Arnold Beckman. Ambitious stuff.
Very much so. And to achieve this, he recruits this team of incredibly talented young PhD grads. Some serious brain power there. Names you might recognize,
Oh,
actually.
for sure. Gordon Moore, who co-founded Intel later on, Robert Noyce, another giant in the field. These guys were just starting out, but already, stars in the making.
Yeah, the talent pool was just remarkable. And get this, Shockley, he has each of them negotiate their salary individually, and then he makes all the salaries public knowledge within the company.
Whoa, really? That's kind of a power move, isn't it?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Speaks volumes about his management style, which, well, the Wikipedia article hints at it wasn't exactly the most collaborative, shall we say.
Right, because you'd think with all these brilliant minds in one place, you'd want to encourage, sharing ideas, working together.
You would think so, wouldn't you? But Shockley, he had his own methods, like recording employee phone calls.
Whoa, seriously?
Yep. And he even prohibited them from talking about their research with each other. Imagine that in a research lab.
Must have created a pretty tense atmosphere.
Oh, it did. And it ultimately backfired because you're right. In that kind of cutting-edge environment, you need that free flow of ideas. It's fuel for innovation.
So this lack of collaboration, it really hurt them in the long run.
Oh, absolutely. And then there's the whole Shockley diode situation.
Ah, yes. His own invention. From what I understand, scientifically interesting, but not exactly a commercial hit, right?
You got it. Big strategic misstep, that was. The lab should have been focused on bipolar transistors, but Shockley, he insisted on prioritizing his diode.
And this, on top of the spying and the secrecy and everything, it created quite a bit of friction, I imagine.
Oh, definitely. Things were coming to a head, and on top of all that, Shockley was getting more and more, well, let's just say paranoid, really started impacting the lab dynamics.
So this is where our Traitorous 8 come into the picture, right? They're seeing all this happening, and they're not happy about it.
They were getting increasingly disillusioned, that's for sure. I mean, imagine working in that environment with all that talent and potential being stifled.
So they decide to take matters into their own hands.
They did. They presented an ultimatum to Arnold Beckman, the guy who was financing the lab. Replace Shockley, or we walk. Bold move.
Huge gamble, too. I mean, they were risking their careers.
It was a pivotal moment, that's for sure. But it really shows how deeply unhappy they were with the situation. They were willing to risk everything for a chance to do things differently.
And Beckman, what did he do? Faced with, losing this incredible team.
Well, he made a decision he would later regret. He chose to side with Shockley.
Wow. So that's it then. The Traitorous 8, their ultimatum fails, and they decide to leave.
Exactly. In 1957, they resigned from Shockley Semiconductor, and that's where things get really interesting.
I mean, walking away from Shockley Labs, that was a huge risk, right? I mean, they were leaving a pretty well-established lab, lots of security, I'd imagine.
Oh, yeah. Big-time gamble. But you got to admire their entrepreneurial spirit, right? I mean, they had this belief in themselves, in their vision, and that's what drove them.
And they managed to get funding.
They did. Found a backer in Sherman Fairchild. He had a reputation for supporting, cutting-edge technology, new ideas.
A smart move on their part.
Yeah.
But wait, wasn't most of the electronics industry concentrated on the East Coast back then?
It was, yeah. That was the hub. But these guys, they decided to stay put in California. Didn't want to relocate.
Interesting. And that decision, I mean, looking back now, it's pretty significant, right?
Huge. I mean, that's essentially the starting point of what we know as Silicon Valley today. It's like their decision to stay put, it kind of like planted the seed.
Wow. So Fairchild Semiconductor is born. What were some of their early wins? What made them stand out?
Well, they really focused on silicon diffusion mesa transistors. This is a technology that offered some big improvements over the older transistor designs.
Okay, I got to ask, what exactly are silicon diffusion mesa transistors? I'm sure our listeners would want to know too.
Sure, sure. So think of a mesa transistor as, well, it's got this active region that's raised above the surrounding substrate, kind of like a plateau, hence the name mesa.
I see, like a little plateau of silicon.
Right.
Yeah.
And the silicon diffusion part, that's the process of, well, they introduce impurities into the silicon, and that creates the different regions of the transistor. It's pretty complex, but the end result is you get these transistors that are smaller, more efficient, and way more reliable.
So this was like their secret weapon. What gave them an edge?
Yeah, you could say that. It really put them on the map. And, within the team, you had these individual members who were still, like, pushing the boundaries even further. Like Gordon Moore, he made some major contributions to improving the performance and the reliability of these transistors. And then you've got Gene Horeni. He comes up with this idea for planar technology. It was a totally new way of manufacturing transistors.
Planar technology. Okay, that sounds like a big deal. Break that down for us a bit.
So basically, planar technology, it's all about making transistors on a flat surface of silicon. And it had all these advantages, like better reliability. You could fit more transistors onto a chip, and it was way easier to mass produce.
Uh-huh. So this is a step towards the integrated circuits and microchips that we, rely on today.
Exactly. It's a foundational technology, really. But even with all this success, there were still some tensions within the group.
Really? I mean, you'd think they'd be like riding high, celebrating their wins. What was the issue?
Well, even on a winning team, you're going to have, strong personalities, different opinions. Like there was this friction between Moore and Horeny over who really deserved the credit for developing planar technology.
Makes sense. Everyone wants their due credit, especially when the stakes are so high.
Right. And then things get even more complicated when Sherman Fairchild, he decides to exercise his right to buy back the shares that the Traitorous 8 owned.
Oh, wow. So the ownership structure of the company changes.
Yeah, it does. And it leads to Jay Last and Gene Horeny leaving Fairchild in 1961. They go on to found a new company, Amelco.
So it's not just a single company story anymore. It's branching out, creating this whole web of new ventures.
Exactly. This was just the first split, really, the beginning of a chain reaction that would see the Traitorous 8 and a lot of their colleagues go on to start a whole bunch of other companies. It's mind-blowing when you think about the impact they had.
It's like Fairchild was this incubator for future tech giants.
Yeah, I like that incubator. It really captures the essence of what was happening. It was a place that attracted brilliant minds, and then it kind of like nurtured their entrepreneurial spirit, their drive to push boundaries.
Mm-hmm. And this brings us to a term I've heard associated with Fairchild, the Fairchildren. What exactly does that refer to?
Ah, yes, the Fairchildren. It's basically a term used to describe all the people who worked at Fairchild and then went on to start their own WN companies.
Okay, so it's like a whole generation of entrepreneurs spawned from this one company.
Exactly. And these spin-offs, they were driven by this culture of innovation that was like baked into Fairchild's DNA. It's a huge part of why Silicon Valley became, the global center for tech innovation that it is today.
So the Traitorous 8, their legacy, it goes way beyond just Fairchild.
Oh, absolutely. It's way bigger than just one company.
Right.
Their decision to leave Shockley, it triggered this wave of innovation that just kept rolling.
It's like they didn't just advance the technology itself, they also shaped the whole culture of the industry.
Yeah. They fostered this ecosystem where risk-taking was celebrated, where collaboration was like essential, and where ideas were exchanged, at lightning speed. And all of that, it can be traced back to the values and the practices that the Traitorous 8 brought with them from Shockley.
It's amazing. And what about the other members of the Traitorous 8? I mean, we know about Moore and Noyce and what they went on to do, but what happened to the rest of them?
That's what we're going to talk about next. It gets even more interesting because each of them, they went on to make their own mark on the tech world in some pretty amazing ways. But before we dive into all that, let's take a step back for a second and think about, the bigger picture here, especially for those of us working in STEM fields today.
I like that. Time to connect the dots and see what we can learn from all this. So the other six, besides Moore and Noyce, their careers after Fairchild, what were some of the highlights?
Well, it's like their story just keeps branching out, More innovation, more companies. It's really remarkable. Like, take Julius Blank, for example.
He founded Sequel, right?
He did, yeah. Specialized in non-volatile memory solutions. Pretty successful, too. Ended up selling the company later on for a good chunk of change.
Wow, so not only brilliant engineers, but savvy businessmen as well.
Yeah, they had the whole package. But it wasn't always about, just the money. Some of them, they took different paths, like Victor Greenwich.
He went the academic route.
He did, yeah. Became a professor at, get this, both UC Berkeley and East Stanford. Pretty prestigious, huh?
Talk about an impressive resume.
Oh, and there's more. He also wrote, the very first comprehensive textbook on integrated circuits. So not only was he shaping the industry, but he was also training the next generation of engineers.
That's a powerful legacy,
Yeah.
Inspiring future innovators.
Exactly. And then you have Eugene Kleiner. Now, he went in a totally different direction.
Let me guess, venture capital.
Ding, ding, ding. Co-founded Kleiner Perkins, Caulfield, and Byers. And, they've been behind some of the biggest names in tech, like Amazon, Google, you name it.
That's wild. So they were not only building companies, but they were also, fueling the growth of the entire tech sector.
Yeah, it's mind-boggling when you think about it. Their influence, it's just everywhere.
So looking back at the Traitorous 8 and their whole journey, what would you say are, the key takeaways? Especially for, people in STEM fields today.
Good question. I think, first and foremost, it shows how important it is to find a work environment that, really values collaboration, where you can be creative, where it's okay to challenge the status quo.
Don't be afraid to rock the boat a little, right?
Exactly. You got to be willing to question assumptions, propose new ideas, even if they seem a little crazy at first. That's often where the real breakthroughs happen.
And also, I guess, be adaptable, right? I mean, the tech world, it moves so fast.
Oh, for sure. Continuous learning is key. The Traitorous 8, they were always picking up new skills, pushing the boundaries of what was possible. They didn't let themselves get stuck in a rut.
That's a great point.
Yeah.
And even with all the technology and innovation, it sounds like at the end of the day, it's still about the people.
Absolutely. You got to have strong teams, open communication, respect for different perspectives. It's those human connections that really drive progress.
It's been a fascinating deep dive. Really makes you think about the human side of, these big technological revolutions.
Right. Behind every invention, every breakthrough, there's a story, A story of ambition, of risk-taking, of people who dared to challenge the norm, and, well, they changed the world in the process.
And the Traitorous 8, their legacy, it lives on, shaping the tech landscape we see today. Inspiring stuff. Well, thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Hope you learned something new. We'll catch you next time.